Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this, my second channel, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with all the Flat Earth Debate pre-show and after-show goodness. If you would like to support this channel, then there's a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a crypto link and PayPal link in the info box below this video. Now, we are joined by quite a few guests, as this is the in-between bit between the shows, so I'm going to say a quick hello to Adam Meakin. How you doing, Adam?
Even finish one sentence.
All good, bro. All good.
Jumping down his throat.
I was just going to say, if you, I was having a problem with the link, pal. So if you do it, I'll jump out of here and get back in the real room.
No, better that you stay where you are.
Okay. Yeah, that was fun anyway, wasn't it? I don't know. It's pointless, but fun.
Yeah, well,
the whole point is that it doesn't match up on drop and it doesn't match up on hidden. If it was drop, none of these mountains would be seen. If it was hidden, they should all be higher than the dotted line.
Mountains?
Essentially, what that's doing is it's debunking his entire 27 videos because they're all saying this is perfect proof of a globe. And it's not.
Up? You've got the old hangout up, I think.
Who, me?
Can I ask who was it that removed me, Arwin?
You've got the Flat Earth Debate logo. There you go.
Yeah, I'm still sharing, but I'm just looking at the chat. That was all.
Okay. Arwin's away from keyboard.
So yeah, the point that I'm going here is that somebody was screaming in chat that we need to include the drop. So that's 1.2 kilometers of drop, or 1,220 meters. Yeah, 1,220 meters. So when we look at the actual height of that Ben Lomond, it's only 974. So essentially, we shouldn't see any of that if we include drop. So we can't use drop because we are seeing some of it. So that's why we chose to use the hidden value, which we shouldn't have any issues with them, because 416 is missing off it, but that still means that 500 meters of it should be seen. And if Miles is at 210 and the monument is at 210 and we have a direct line of sight here, then that mountain should be way up here, shouldn't it? But it's not, because they're not taking into the angular size over distance, are they? They're not doing its actual angular size and perspective. So I don't know how they can go around bandying this one photograph because none of it matches up.
No, totally. I think Miles's statements have been based on them analysing it on a flat plane. Do you know what I mean? They didn't place the peaks where they should be on a ball. They've placed them on a flat plane. And that's their ball proof.
Isn't it?
That's what they've always done, though. That's why they need the orthographic view to be able to do that.
Again?
That's what they've always done. That's why they need the orthographic view to do it.
Yeah.
Well, when he asked, we can't see the horizon. Well, we've got a horizon line in because Miles has conveniently put it in. He says that his height of the camera right now is at 210. Holt Tone Monument's at 210. So the red line is denoting the horizon. That's what he's saying. This is what the red line does. That's the horizon point. It's a perfectly straight level. If you go straight across that 210 meters, this is the horizon there. So
listen, gents, have you seen Dory Jacker's most recent video?
No.
What Google are doing is, you know, when you put your taglines in your video saying flat Earth, ranty, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
If you put anything with flat Earth in it, it removes all the tags for some reason.
What?
So basically what's happening is they're promoting all the ridicule people that, like, you know, like Simon Dan and Conspiracy Flaps and all them. They're getting promoted. But when we're doing it, for some reason, I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it in such a way that when we put our tags in, they're never getting found by people. So when we say to people, research flat Earth, all they're getting back is the ridicule. They're not getting us somehow. So what we need to do is consider changing the phrase research flat Earth for something like global eye or something like that, because basically they're filtering us out somehow.
Hold on. No. We had this conversation 2 days ago. So, remember when I said, do you share, Anthony? And you're like, I don't know what the share button is. The whole point of that conversation was that, yeah, that's always going to have been the case. It's been the case now. The fact that people are finding out that it makes no difference. The solution is still the same. Share the show. Make sure your friends get it and see it on Facebook. Make sure you stick it on Twitter. Make sure you share it on Skype. That way, the community that is growing organically, literally organically, gets the information out to them anyway. Don't rely on YouTube putting it in their suggestions. Share the show.
It doesn't change my point, that though.
It does.
Yeah, I mean,
it's never changed. I think... What you're saying isn't new news to me. Not at all. I've always known that to be the case.
It has to be.
Right.
Why the hell isn't IRM more popular if they're not hiding us? I can't think of any reason unless it's just corruption.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, then there's a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below this video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. Very important, and will probably get discussed on the show. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Adam Meakin, The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, Ranty Flat Earth, Jose JG, Soundly Slayer Gonzalez, Chocolate Saying, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good morning.
Hello, hello, hello. What?
Boom chakalaka.
Yo.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. So,
I like the little nickname in between my actual name.
Soundly Slayer.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Bendy Bridge. Oh, Bendy Train Track. What the fuck is this, huh?
I totally envisioned Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, Soundly Slayer is very appropriate.
Yeah, really good. Still getting troll comments left and right, left and right. I got me a bunch of new subscribers, so thank you to Taboo Conspiracy with the shout out. He mirrored my video, so I think most of the new subscribers came from him, so appreciate it. Boom.
Hands up who actually enjoyed the rumpusing on the last show.
Both
I
arms
always
are down.
enjoy a good rumpus devastation.
Well, we get to discuss it now because Adam and I have a very different slant to what happened in that hangout. We had a reasonably nice conversation, wouldn't you agree, Adam?
Yeah, it was a little bit of feedback here, Nate, but yeah, I heard none of the rumpus. You can obviously keep it there. I don't know how you did that. One in one ear and holding a conversation.
Are we live now again? Hello?
Sorry, what did you say,
Yes,
Ranty?
we
Are we
are.
live? Yes, we are.
Okay, right, cool. Yeah, Rumpus was annoying. He doesn't
what was your
understand the whole
experience in the
point.
hangout? So Adam and I briefly discussed what our experience was like. What was it like in the hangout?
Oh, it was horrible. Couldn't hear a word. Literally couldn't hear anything. And his mic was turned up so loud. Either that or he increased the mic volume once you'd set his actual volume. And then he's increased it, obviously, after that because it was so loud. I had to take the earphones out. Couldn't hear anything.
Microphone down his throat, probably.
It's literally an assault on the ears.
And that's all it is. There isn't any actual points he's making. He's saying the same things again and again and again, which aren't addressing anything that's actually been said to him. And it is just total rumpusing. I don't...
To me, yeah, it's just a tactic, man. He didn't let you speak. He didn't let you finish your question. Not once. Not one time. And then when I asked him, when I got him to calm down for a second and said, look, just let Adam speak for a second, his response is, oh, but he keeps interrupting me. I keep getting interrupted. Like, I don't understand how this guy has conversations like that in real life. He must be getting punched in the face all the time in real life. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't get it. How can you conversate like that?
The chat at the moment is telling us, no, you should look at a different part of the curve calculator. Oh, my bad. I didn't realise I was begging the question properly. Sorry, chat.
Well, there's a reason why that we don't use the drop in this particular instance, and that's because he isn't an ant at 0 meters. He's actually at 210 meters in elevation, so that's why we're not actually using that. But if they wanted to use the drop, then yeah, well, I'm happy to use that, because 1.22 kilometers should be dropped, and essentially that works out to about 1,220 meters. When we look at the actual height of the mountain itself, it's only 974, so we shouldn't see any of it. If we use drop, that is only 974 meters tall, and yet 1,200 meters of it should have been dropped. So if they want to let us use that, we can do, because we won't see any of it. And
that's what Daniel's shouting from the chat. It's dropped 1,000 meters, you idiots! Oh right, has it really? I'll just say it one more time. So, A, we're not begging the question properly. And B, it's a 900-meter mountain that's, according to you, dropped 1,000 meters. Okie dokie.
That's a bit of an issue. That's a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, my bad. I'll learn to beg the question better when I'm excluding perspective.
Sorry, Daniel. I think that's a bit of a fail for you. He did actually just say he's not actually a flat earther, so
you can still see it. Yeah, here we go. You can still see it. If it's dropped 1,000 meters. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, we're not referring to stuff in meters, Daniel. You're not paying attention if you were in the last show. When you give it in meters, you're excluding the angular relation. That's where your trick lies. Hello. Giving us a meter value for that mountain is meaningless. It's only relevant to your side-on view to misrepresent our position of what a flat Earth should do, right? No, Daniel. The meters value's where you exclude perspective. Maybe you could tell me in arc seconds or radians. Maybe you could give us that rather than these whole numbers that are irrelevant at distance. You idiot. I love these trolls.
And this is how they
fuzzy little sod. If he was here, I'd stuff his little hair up and go on, get out of here, fuzzy little sod.
Well, this is how they would draw
cheeky
it.
Little scamp.
You cheeky little sod, Daniel. Go on, get out of here, you little shit.
Here's 50p. Go and get some sweets. Go on.
Yeah, now he's telling me I don't understand angular size. Okay, Daniel, you tell me what part of a 1,000-meter drop gives me the angle. You fucking idiot. Go on, get out of here, you little fuzzy sod.
Actually, it's 1,220 meter drop.
Yeah, when you exclude all perspective and put it in a side elevation. Fascinating stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's an issue.
How long do you reckon this will last, Adam? How long do you reckon they'll keep their head in the sand?
I don't know, because it really is requiring a complete denial every single time of the points we're making. So it's how many times they can keep coming back not addressing what we're saying to them. Because again, Daniel, he just wants to do half the work. I only want to do this bit of it. I only want to put this much maths into it to analyze it. Because if I put any more so that it represents what's actually going off in reality and the fact I'm taking a photograph, then oh bloody hell, my ball maths ruins everything and my peaks disappear totally. And that's why they only want to do a little bit. They only want to turn it sideways and analyze it only like that, not realize that that sideways bit is just the initial part of stating where your peak should be. Then do you know what I mean? How long do they only want to deal with half of it? I mean, and the point is, for me, it's not deal with half. It's recognize the point that we're making to them. They just seem to be refusing to do it. Rumpus is a good example. You'll make that point. Yeah, but if you turn it sideways and do this, don't you realize there's no honesty in terms of the way we're debating with them, mate, and that's why I don't.
Well, in this instance, it is literally stick your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la, and put your position across 400 times so no one else can hear any other position. It's like, wow, ballers. Good day to be a flat earther, I would say.
Yeah, the point I was making, Nath, is that this image isn't the image doesn't represent how it would appear on an orthographic view. This is what an orthographic view would say. In fact, I'm actually being very skimpy on what it would actually show. So let me just put a few more bits in. So I'm just going to increase the height of that mountain and just put it up to about there, roughly. Excuse the drawing. It's terrible, I know. But
like a turd.
If it was, yeah, it's a big fat turd. You're right. However, that's a more accurate representation. So it would say, okay, well, looking in a direct line of sight, we have two parallel points at 210 meters. So we can take that exact line. So we know where our horizon is, which will be here. That's obviously denoted by the fact that these are directly at 210 meters each. So now we have the horizon, which then it means that in a direct line of sight, 450 meters is dropped, or well, is hidden beyond the curve of the Earth. 500 meters is visible, which puts it up here. So it should be above the horizon. This is their orthographic view. This is what it says. 500 meters should be seen. And yet, this is what we see. It's below the horizon line. So it completely goes against their, well, in the future, from them ever using this perspective view here, this orthographic view, we have to do everything in angular sizes from now on. That's reality.
See,
this is
Daniel's
reality.
still doing it. He's still literally completely ignored us. Are you reading this, Adam? So, Daniel, you've done it again, haven't you? Yeah? We're taking apart the whole 1,000-meter bit. Yeah? That's misrepresenting the world we live in. Because that mountain at 974 meters is being misrepresented. Because it's got a smaller angular size than the thing in the near foreground. See that hope-torn monument? See that? Right? According to this picture, right, both of those things are the same size. But they're not the same size, are they? Even by his own measurements, they're not the same size. So how can this be? Oh, well, when you put it in a side elevation, blah, 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 blah. When you talk about it in actual sizes. But you can only represent that point of view in a side elevation. This view is an angular size representation of what things look like based on their distances. Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
Ranty, if you just go back to your side view, and I'll just quickly make the other point that I think Daniel's maths would probably be using. You see from there that if we just use that to represent the picture, you can see that there is only one line of sight. Now, if you were to put the other peaks on at the different distances, what you'd end up doing is changing that line of sight for Daniel to get his hidden value. But you see, that's more apologetics for the ball, because it lowers that line of sight, exposing more of the bottom, you know. So actually, because we're dealing with a photograph, you can't do that. Yeah, because otherwise you're taking different photographs angled at each peak for the maths that you're trying to take and represent in reality. So the maths that he's using is is for an individual observation. But what we've got in the photo is multiple peaks taken from one observation angled at the top of the bridge. And that is actually quite a very straight line. It's the straightest line on all the observations, and it's closest to 90 degrees perpendicular. So that really does bring into play, actually, you've got to subtract the distance, I think, from the observer to the first bridge, and then you apply the distances there if you're being kind, because that would assume a level transit there, and you'd start your ball falling away from that point.
Well, this isn't a bridge. This isn't the bridge observation. This one. This is a new one that is trotted out. This is a new.
Okay, well, from the top of that monument, then same sort of thing. But do you see what I mean? If you're claiming there's a level transit to that, then you could start your curvature drop from there if you were being really kind. But again, that is just the initial subtraction you have to do just to say how high the peaks would be to then start your analysis of the photo. If you're comparing the models. And that's what I'm saying, they only want to do half. Adam equals Gem Panda, I've just seen. Is that the accent?
So, yeah, when you're giving us these values, the chat, try to bear in mind that Miles Davis has told us that he's level with this stuff in the near foreground. Your calculation, unless you're going to do it manually and actually work it out properly, is changing the angle that you view something at in the orthographic representation, of course, to give you the value of the thing in the distance, like it's an individual measurement to this hill in the background. It isn't. Your calculator fixes the angle to the individual thing you're measuring. That's very unfortunate for Miles Davis, as he's telling us he's level with this Hoptown monument. Oh dear. So your calculations, they're going to need redoing entirely just for you to beg the question. And when you do, the chances are when you come here and present it, I'll say, why would I have to accept that your model says we should or shouldn't see this in any particular way? I don't. Prouvard.
Anything else to talk about, guys?
Yeah, damn right we do.
Okay, go ahead, Anthony.
Someone sent me a message last night and said that Conspiracy Flaps was on Sun and Moon Group and he was debating. And I was like, I can't be asked watching that. That'll be useless. Because basically, I realised that I had to go and watch it. And I've not been to Sun and Moon Group for a long time, but I had to watch it because I wanted to see what it was that he would say that he won't get away with saying here. And my plan was to take out the key points of all the points that he made, and represent them and basically debunk him whilst he's not here, because he deserves it. I've not had a chance to because I've been busy doing stuff, but it dawned on me whilst I was watching the discussion that Conspiracy Flaps can't join this hangout because he can't beg the question. Now, if he goes to the Sun and Moon Group, because the Sun and Moon Group aren't a debate channel, and I'm not dissing Sun and Moon Group here, so let's not take this out of context. What I'm saying is he can only go somewhere like that because he knows that they've not got the skills or the experience in the debate to stop him from talking nonsense. When he was making points about different things, he wouldn't get away with making them points in this chat. That simple. So he has to go there to preach his gospel. And I've come to the conclusion that the guy is either the subject of being brainwashed and doesn't realize it because he's too stupid to realize it, or he's literally dishonest. He's not in the middle anymore. I've realized that the guy's not being negligent in that he didn't realize because he wasn't taught it himself. He's been presented with evidence. He still dismisses it and he still pushes his nonsense. For example, and I'm not going to go through all of his things, but one of the ones that drew me crazy was when he was talking about Polaris. He believes that if you traverse the plane, he believes that it travels 1 degree for every 69 miles. However, as we get towards the horizon, it doesn't. And it's demonstrable by Mick West himself. Now, the explanation, of course, is refraction. He thinks that refraction explains it. but he refuses to acknowledge that there is an equal and opposing view that doesn't require any bullshit maths. And the equal and opposing view is that on a plane, as you get further away from it, it's going to start slowing down because the rate that you're getting away from it relative to how far away it is to you causes it to slow down. So he won't acknowledge that there is an equal and opposing view. And by that fact, that tells me that the guy's either the subject of being brainwashed or he's being dishonest, because he can't accept that there is an equal and opposing view that requires no maths, no bullshit nonsense. He just refuses to accept that that even exists. I just can't understand why he won't even acknowledge it. So I've come to the conclusion that Conspiracy Flaps is either dishonest or the subject of being brainwashed, and he's not able to realize he's been brainwashed. And it's just embarrassing. And he should be ashamed of himself, because he's supposed to be a teacher, right? And a teacher that's blessed with intelligence enough to be able to teach the children of tomorrow what we're supposed to live on, doesn't realize that there is an equal and opposing view that requires zero explanation. And for his position to be true, which isn't even true, but he believes that it's true because he's applied it on Stellarium, which when I tried to tell him that this was a reification fallacy because you're basically talking about a concept as though it's real in the absence of evidence to prove that it is actually true, he just can't accept, he can't get his head around it. He won't accept the alternative view, and he pushes his nonsense anyway. Conspiracy Flaps, you should be ashamed of yourself, because part of having a good debate is realizing the opposing argument and acknowledging it, and you can't do that, or won't, whichever. But either way, you're not negligent now. You know that there is an opposing view. You know that it requires no explanation. It's self-evident. Yet you ignore it and you deny that it exists, and it's simply unacceptable. You're an embarrassment. You shouldn't be in teaching if you're not going to be able to present both sides with a balanced presentation of opposing views. It's embarrassing, Conspiracy Flaps. Stop it.
Yeah, they cherry pick. I mean, his hangout with against my work completely ignored not only the inferior mirage and what the inferior mirage is, but also the compression that goes hand in hand with the inferior mirage. So he completely ignored all of that and just concentrated, funnily enough, on the angular size of the boat. And yet, when we're talking about Miles Davis, who completely doesn't use angular size, okay, so they cherry pick when they feel it. They'll use an orthographic view when they feel it suits them, and they will deliberately withhold information that would validate the work that I've done this year, that other people are doing. And it is, like you say, it's demonstrably dishonest, because he must know that that isn't our position. Our position has, essentially got better in the past 6 months. And, we're starting to work this out, and these guys are still doing the same old tactic of misrepresentation, trying to make us look stupid, not be accurate with the truth or the facts. And yet the only people, I'll reiterate this, the only people doing real science right now are flat earthers. Conspiracy Cats is just a nobody. He's a parrot. He should be called Conspiracy Parrot.
Yeah, but the reassuring truth is a much better route, and going to somewhere where you're allowed to beg the question or present fallacious arguments and argue within those confines, then life's a lot easier. You come here and life is hard for a globehead, because you're not allowed to beg the question, you're not allowed to formulate logical fallacies in order to present your argument. We actually want genuine truth, real evidence, and fallacious arguments don't cut it. So over there, maybe fallacious arguments, great. I don't care. I'll cut them down. I'll accept every criticism for ending an argument real quick when someone begs the question.
Well, the thing with Conspiracy Cats now is that he has his own fan base, and the trouble with having a fan base is that you tend to believe you're bigger than you are. So he has, 7,000 subscribers now, and he feels that that's the work that he's doing is what they want, and clearly it must be what they want. So he's just happy to keep parroting out the same stuff, the same mantra, the same whatever's working for him right now. He's going to continue to do that. He's not interested in the truth. He doesn't care about the truth. He's just interested in being a celebrity. That's all it is.
He's not interested in the truth. He can't acknowledge that there is an equal and opposing view that requires no mathematics, no explanation, self-evident proof. He can't even acknowledge the existence of the opposing argument. He simply dismisses it. Now, if you're stupid, you will just take him at face value. You will accept that because he's a teacher, because he's got a physics degree, or in this case, biology or whatever, you'll just accept it because the teaching profession is still considered to be one of the most trustworthy professions. However, part of the point is that you acknowledge the opposing view, and he's not even acknowledging it, let alone disagreeing with it. He won't even acknowledge it, and that's wrong. It's just dishonest.
Or brain.
And how do you feel about promoting him in the first place?
Hi, Billy Wazza.
Oh yeah, this is a different account. Rumpus like me.
I don't know if it was Rumpus. Does anybody know who it was that sniped who?
No idea.
Let's not speculate.
No, I mean the name that removed everybody. Where's Arwin when you need him?
Arwin's on the case right now. He's there, watching the back door like a trooper. Hey, Arwin.
He's not. He's a.
No, he's not. He told
I know
us,
he's not.
He told us he was. He told us he was stepping away, and then when we did get sniped, I think Arwin did say that it was Rumpus on the chat, on the master chat.
Really?
Well, maybe we'll find out from Arwin later when he pipes up next. We'll ask him.
Again, that's just shocking that Rumpus. I mean, I said yesterday when Roxanne joined, I'm not sure Rumpus is the right person to have a conversation with Roxanne because he can't do it. He just can't do it. And it was a mistake to let him. We should have kicked him at the start and let Dawn come in, because Dawn Treader, he came in like a dog on heat. And it was like, well, at least he's going to have a conversation, because he can. Dawn Treader might be a little bit daft, but he can have the conversation. And he can listen. Rumpus will not listen, and he will not let somebody interject when he says mumbo jumbo. And it's not acceptable, Rumpus. You can't literally tell people lies and expect not to be interrupted when you're lying. And that is what you're doing. And let's be honest, all of these ballers are doing it. So if it means now that Sun and Moon Group are going to start doing this so-called debate, that's fine. However, I hope to God that the people that are going to Sun and Moon Group are paying attention with this chat, because we know how to deal with these morons, the liars. We can expose the truth. We can expose these for the charlatans that they are. Rumpus is as guilty as Conspiracy Cats. Conspiracy Cats is as guilty as the Rumpus. Geostream, they're all the same. All of them, they're all liars. It's just working out exactly what the lie is. But
yeah, well, just to be clear about what Rumpus did in the last debate, I mean, if you guys haven't seen it, I suggest you go back and watch it. But he was asked basically if he draws things in an orthographic view, this is the orthographic representation of how this mountain should appear in Miles Davis's image, you know, which is you have a direct line of sight through here, 210 meters, 210 to the horizon, which would show 500 meters of this still visible, right? And whereas 450 meters of it has gone to Earth curve, hidden, right? And yet it doesn't match up to reality. It doesn't look the same. It's completely wrong. It's actually lower than the 210 meter horizon line. So the question simply was, is this an accurate representation of this image? And it's not. It's nothing of the sort. You cannot use an orthographic view like this when you're talking about things that are over tremendous distances. It's okay to do it for a building, you know, if you was going to make a design of a building or something like that. But to try and work things out over incredible distances, we're talking 124 kilometers here, 134 kilometers. It doesn't work. And he tried to argue, his position was this is the same as this, right? But yet this has atmospheric conditions that's lowering it down. So we're not getting refraction or looming this time. In this particular image, what we're getting is unrefraction and lowering it down, compressing it, in fact, you know, and making it lower than this 210 meters. So whichever way he chooses to argue this, Miles Davis doing 27 videos or 28 videos on the same sort of thing, it's wrong. It doesn't work. If you include drop would mean that you wouldn't see this mountain at all, so you can't use that. Hidden would mean that this straight line of sight to this would have 500 meters or so of visible, which would put something like, hang on, let's just get this out of the way, which would put this mountain about that high, or how it should appear, about 500 meters above the 210, and it doesn't work. So whichever way you look at it, it doesn't match the curve calcs, it doesn't match reality, and yeah, it just proves that you can't use this kind of orthographic view to work out perspective. You have to use angular size. It's as simple as that. And all he did was rumpus. He didn't address the argument. He didn't at all. We asked him, is this an accurate representation? And it's not. And he just completely refused to debate that. He just decided to rumpus the entire hangout.
He rumpuses on purpose because he doesn't have the answers, doesn't he?
Correct.
He doesn't have the answer when I ask him where's Miles Davis's head in this picture.
Well, his argument to that would be his head, or the center of the camera would be what we're looking at. We're looking through his head.
No, but on his representation, we will actually see the side of Miles Davis's head and camera with a line drawn from it from left to right on the picture, whereas we don't get to see that in the actual picture we're analysing. So it's essentially 90 degrees adjacent, and it's done so that when you draw a 974 metre high mountain dropping around the curve of the Earth, you can say, well, that's Earth curve causing that right there, and ignore all aspects of perspective, the thing that actually is occurring in the image that you're actually analysing, as opposed to their diagram of it in 90 degrees adjacent format with numbers like 974 metres, as opposed to angular sizes of things, which is the kind of relationship you have in this picture, the one you're analysing. Real world.
Well, the simple best thing to say about this is that there's 550 metres. This mountain, if we believe their ball model hidden value, 500. This mountain that we're seeing in the distance is 550 meters. That's what we're seeing of it, right? So in their model, we should see it like this. We should see 500 plus meters of it. So it should be higher than the dotted, the horizon line. So there's the horizon line that Miles has clearly put in for us. So essentially, we should see the mountain much higher than the horizon line, and we don't. And that's the whole point. So to claim that this is more proof of the ball is fallacious.
Are you still there, Adam?
Yeah.
Can you just go through again, just for the audience's benefit, why the use of each individual mountain with an individual measurement and the calculation for how much drop or hidden you have, based on their begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculator, of course, why it would be incorrect to take an image like this with the assertion based on him being parallel to this hop-torn monument, why that's incorrect to use those maths in the first instance, even if you were to accept the begging the question fallacy that is the calculator.
Yeah, because each of those bits of maths angles the camera down more for the calculation for each individual peak. So, like I say, you're applying mathematics which relates to taking an individual best shot of each peak and using that maths, which means the angle you've used to calculate each of those peaks is going to be more away from 90 degrees than the angle that is actually represented in the single shot in this image. And I say maths is all about, you can only use the maths to represent the reality, and they're not using maths that's representing the reality of how the photo is composed. And this is the whole point with that the ballers seem to want to ignore. They want to ignore the composition of the photograph. They just want to do the basic geometry maths, but then ignore the fact that the data is then presented in a photograph which is subject to perspective. But they think the first bit of maths that they've done, which is just setting up that initial information, accounts for perspective, and as Rumpus calls it, he's got a magic camera that calculates for perspective, which is totally incorrect. The photo, you have to back work for perspective. That's the purpose of trying to analyze the photo. And like I say, the maths is supposed to be representative of the reality, and the maths that they're using is representative of 5 different photographs, not this one.
Exactly. Or to put it another way, they put you 90 degrees adjacent to it and start analysing that.
Yeah, but Nathan, if they did that, if they put him 90 degrees adjacent, and this is how they would draw it, this is how every glober would draw an orthographic view of that mountain. They would say 450 meters is below the red line, 500 meters is above it, which would mean that, sorry, 500 meters is still visible, 450 meters has dropped, which means that if this is at 210, this line here, let me put some text in. So let's say that this is 210 meters, this line that runs all the way through it, right? And this is 500 meters that we're seeing. At 550 meters, we would still be seeing of it, right? It would be above this line. It would be higher than that by a period or by an amount of 340 meters, right? So 340 meters would be above the line, 210 would be beneath it, and 450 meters of that would have been lost down here to the curvature of the Earth, right? So that's how this mountain would be broken up. So that is what we would actually see.
Don't forget about the angle away. It looks like you're keeping it 90 degrees, even though it's on a slope.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it would be slightly tilted back, you're right. But still, 340 meters would still be visible in their math. Well, above the red line, 340 meters of that would be above it. So what we're actually seeing then, this part of the mountain, this is how it would work. That would be 210 meters, right? And then above it, we would have an extra 340 meters, right? So that's how we should see it as a representation. 210 below, 340 above. And when you actually sort of try and draw that in, it's ridiculous, the amount. You know, I mean, you're talking that it would be, the mountain would appear up there if Miles Davis is correct, that he is actually in a direct level line with this actual monument. And that's how it doesn't work. It doesn't work to perspective, doesn't work that way.
What happens when you ignore perspective, globe heads? It all goes to hell in a handbag real quick.
So if Miles Davis wants to come in and debate me on this, or anybody on this actually, now that we've showed it, we can ask the question, how is, if he's in a direct straight line of sight with this monument, how is 550 meters of this represented down here? How do we have 550 meters here?
They've already played their hand, so at this stage, the only person to come in is Rumpus, and all he can do is Rumpus. That's the tactic. So he is their last line of defence when it comes to things like this. See if you can totally obfuscate the point and lose it in Rumpusing. Well, it didn't happen. You know, here we are, still talking about it. The link's out there, public. Anybody could have joined while you were making this presentation. And when you first talk about it, that's when someone like Rumpus comes in, if there is no argument against it, which there isn't. There never will be. We don't live on a sphere. We live on a flat Earth. And this argument that removes you from perspective views and maintains actual sizes of things, it's all just a little magic trick. That's all it is. And we're exposing it. The first time you do any of this, they can attempt to see if you can lose the point. If you're not strong enough. Ranty, you are. You're going to keep bashing this drum. Doesn't matter what Rumpus does.
That's true. If they've learned anything, that's the case, that I will not stop in my quest to keep exposing this kind of stuff. And yeah, removing, like you say, the perspective view, this orthographic view now, it's dead in the water. It holds no validity going forward. Miles Davis has conclusively proved that no glober can now use this kind of representation for the globe, because this single photograph or series of photographs disprove this, which is that 500 meters should be above the horizon. Sorry, 340 meters above it and 210 below. And essentially, this image disproves that. We now need to work in angular sizes and angular sizes alone.
Ranty, didn't you say that Soundly couldn't debunk you on this?
I think it was Sly Sparkane on a different observation.
Was it Sly?
Just to sidetrack. That's a brilliant segue.
Oh,
excellent.
On my observation, yeah.
You can tell Adam hosts the show. So beautiful segue, Adam. So, Ramsey, as Adam pointed out so beautifully, I'm sure you have an observation of Barrow and Finesse, maybe? I'm sure it was, from Blackpool.
Oh, 22 miles away, yes.
The one that, who was it again that can't debunk it?
Sly Sparkane can't debunk it. I think you did a video about it today, Nath.
Was it today?
Or it might have been last night.
No, I just released the clip of you saying exactly those words, so, yeah.
And he can't debunk it. He won't be able to.
Debunk what? What would that be that he can't debunk? I can just see a rubbish Miles Davis failure on screen right now.
Miles Davis is fail. Yeah, he is fail. I had something. What did I actually? Hang on. I wrote something down whilst I was shopping. I was going to do a hangout today myself about it, but I thought I'd present it on here, and I'd written it down. So it was Miles Davis fails the globe, fails perspective, proves angular size. That was going to be the title of the video. I might still do it.
Oh, feel free to take us through it now, or if I'd much prefer you showed us that Barrow footage and explained what's so troubling for these globe.
Let me dig it up. Give me 5 minutes. Let me dig it up.
Yeah, if you can dig that out and then hopefully explain to us what is so perplexing about this observation that you've made of Barrow and Finesse from Blackpool, and why they shy away from it so much. And I think the word I used was nincompoop. So, Sly proven nincompoop by Ranty Flat Earth.
Is that what you called it?
Well, it's pretty accurate.
Right, give me 5 minutes. I'll find you the video.
No bother. So, do you think we're winning, Adam? I think people are getting it.
I think, I hope so, mate. But you don't, other than, I mean, I'm always open to honest debate, and I don't see any points coming up that are worthy of, conjecture or response to. There's just the standard. I'm apparently the Adam the Liar Meekin now. I saw. Do you know what I mean? But if that's the only level of critique that's coming through, then I'm confident in the assertions I'm making, because I'm not hearing any rational thing that's saying, no, your maths is wrong from this point, or consider it like this. You're just hearing the same old rhetoric, or as you see now, just insults.
The thing is, right, what I notice as a tactic is that people that are in chat, right, although they're half listening to what we're saying, they're not really hearing what we're saying. And the problem with that is they will always present their position as though they're winning, as though they're on top. And it takes a lot of time to work out who's on top, because when they're like patronizing you with that condescending tone, it does make you question your position, and it does make you question theirs, and you have to work out who is the one that's on top and by how far. And what's actually happening right now is that people in chat they're listening, but they're not hearing, and they still represent their position as though they're on top, and they're not on top at all. They're losing badly because they can't have the angular size to be the angle. Right. They need the angular size to be orthographic representations on side elevation profile. That's what they need. And that's why, what's his name? Conspiracy Flaps is prepared to go into Sun and Moon Group, because they're not on top with what's currently going on. And they don't realize that by allowing him to talk freely, he's able to just talk shit. And this is just not really acceptable. So I can understand why.
I just want to get it in before it goes off screen completely, because it's gone now. But Daniel in the chat again, as he's been focused on for some particular reason, is saying you can't do basic geometry. And that's entirely the point that Adam's making. Like you say, the point that's being made isn't being listened to or heard by these people. So by saying you can't do geometry, what he's essentially saying is you can't put this in an orthographic view and only account for the Earth curve ignoring all perspective. But he's not listening to that. And Adam's saying, look, you're only doing half a job. You're only doing the geometry, and you're not then applying the bit that's actually accounted for in the picture, the perspective that you would have to apply to your geometry if you lived on a sphere Earth. But you're not interested in doing that, and you'll stick your head in the sand, or we kick your ass.
Well put.
Yeah, it's we just we need to realize on our side that it's to do with the angular size. It's got nothing to do with being orthographic. And the more they push that, the more we realize that they're being dishonest. And I don't actually think that some of them don't even realize, but Rumpus definitely does, because he definitely wants to. He reasserts it all the time, Miles the Liar Davis, he reasserts it all the time. And these people are lying. They're telling you lies. It's bad.
I've got that video, Nath.
I love this. Is my favourite comment ever. Nathan Oakley, please show us that it is supposed to look like that, then, please. It's a photograph.
Put the picture up.
It's a photo.
You see it because it's there.
Oh, my God. Show us that it's supposed to look like it looks in the photograph. Oh, my God. These people are so stupid. Shout out to you, Aniko Stone. You are my favourite right now.
And let's just give a reminder to Slice Barcane. Ranty's poked the bear, and Slice Barcane cannot explain how we can have a gas pressure without a container. Now, he explains that it's to do with gravity, but he can't prove gravity. He thinks he's proved it with siphons. I don't know what his experiment with siphons was, but whatever it was with siphons, I can guarantee he didn't manipulate that little independent variable that he needs to prove this thing called gravity. And even if he did, and he was able to manipulate it to try and prove this thing that he claims, that's not the current science for gravity, is it? It's the bending of space-time, boys and girls. So unless you got a little bit of space-time to bend, then you're not going to be proving shit. Let's be honest.
But O'Reilly, you're missing the biggest point of all, and that is that even with the gravity, as they apply it, as they assume it from all angles, the Einsteinian, Newtonian, however you want to call it, even if you would assume that concept to be real and apply it, it doesn't work. It's a subtle, steady force disequilibrium effect, and that cannot counteract the might of entropy versus the vacuum of outer space.
I agree.
And that's the main point. Like, even if they could take gravity, it still doesn't work, no matter what they do.
And the other thing is, like, you're right. And if you remember that the rim velocity of the sphere, the massive radius sphere that we're supposed to be on, even though it's only 1 revolution per day, the rim velocity, because of the huge radius that we're living on, is massive. It's 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. And that creates a centrifugal force that will be significantly more powerful than this downwards acceleration force that they believe. So even if it did exist, entropy is going to pull it off, but also centrifugal force is going to push it off, because we're supposed to be spinning. So in the context of all of the arguments that they present, it's utter garbage.
Right. We turn into a rock of a frozen rock very rapidly, very, very rapidly in the course of maybe a day.
It's embarrassing that the U-ballers don't realize it. And it's even worse that conspiracy cats just can't even accept that there's an opposing argument that is equally valid. You can't even accept the existence of an opposing argument. It's disgusting. And you're teaching kids. You're not fit to be a teacher, conspiracy cats. You're so blinkered, brainwashed, and dishonest. It's just unacceptable.
I don't know if you want to just shift your mouse a bit, Ranty. You're on screen.
Sorry.
So do you want to... This is the Slice Barcane can't debunk footage, right?
It is. Yeah, we
it.
can answer it with the knowledge that we've gained this year. And what we have is a distance 22 miles, elevation above sea level, give or take around about 8 feet. None of these buildings should be seen. So in your model, this is being loomed up. They're a figment of our imagination. They're not really there. They're a hologram. However, with the work that we've been doing this past year, we know that this inferior mirage that runs underneath it is actually in the same area as the compression zone. And all the information that we get and we should see from this distance is compressed and hidden behind the inferior mirage. And yet we're still seeing probably at least half of the buildings at the top of them. So where's the missing 140 feet of curvature? Slice Barcane can't answer this. And he won't be able to come back because he has to prove looming. He will have to show and demonstrate looming.
Shout out to Earth is Seriously Flat for the super chat. Thank you very much.
It's all down to R. You guys can't prove R. Believe it's there, can't prove it. Even if the refraction arguments are true, you've still got to prove that it bends behind a curve to have the bendy light that you guys believe. It's nonsense.
At least in the end, when they're all zombies shouting R, they'll have the crows to accompany them and also say R, R, R.
Just in case there's any other... Sorry to interrupt. Just in case there's any other globeheads that feel that Ranty's assertion's incorrect and where Slice Barcane failed miserably to account for this in any way, shape or form on a sphere Earth, maybe you'd like to give out some of the details and the whys and wherefores so that they can beg the question and assume their outcome and then tell you that it does work.
You mean for the heights of these buildings, etc.?
Oh yeah, all that kind of stuff. Give it in their favourite format as well. Don't give it them in
favourite
arcs.
format. None of these should be seen. That's just a simple break it down. Just there it is. None of these buildings should be seen. That's it. If you go for the highest buildings, which consequently are these ones in the foreground, these slightly smaller ones, they're 167 meters tall. Sorry, 167 feet tall. The curve calcs essentially say at this distance there's over 220 feet of curvature from an elevation of about 8 feet. None of these buildings should be seen. It's a figment of our imagination.
And what I mean by that, Ranty, is give us your location in Google Earth and tell us your height above water and all the favourite.
You don't want much, do you, Nath?
Okay,
I'll tell you what I can do.
I agree. I think if you're really concise with this and someone tells Sly that this exists, he has to talk about bendy light bullshit, and we can laugh at him and say, well, prove that light bends like that atmospherically when you're looking horizontal to the gradient that we're in. And then prove that it'll bend round a curve, because unless that was really the case, we wouldn't have shadows. And we do have shadows. They work on straight line concepts. But if light bends the way that you guys say it does, then all our shadows look like jelly, like wobbly jellies, because of the way that the light would be randomly coming in at all these different angles and bending and all this. We wouldn't get shadows the way we get them. They wouldn't have nice sharp edges on them. It's just nonsense. So tell him what
shadows would be curved.
Yeah. Embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. They don't have very much of an argument anymore.
Nope.
So I'm going to place myself essentially here. There's the big wheel. So on the pier that we're looking at, I actually turn around and I look at the big wheel. So if I show you there I am looking at the big wheel to the side of the pier, slightly nearer to the water. So if I go back and show you there's the big wheel. There's me looking at it. I'm going to say I was essentially here, and we're looking over all this water all the way over here. These buildings, 21.93, 21.94 miles away. We have another building here, which is visible, this one. We have the chimney stacks that are visible too. They're over here somewhere. Where are they? Find them now. You do put pressure on me, Nath, when I've not got things ready.
Oh, my bad.
You do.
No pressure on you. It's already out there. Sly's already failed miserably, but there just might be other people that want to know this information. The perspective exclusive information of the heights of buildings in feet and inches, things like that. They might want to know. Another shout out to Earth is Seriously Flat.
Well, let's just say that the highest buildings in this entire image are these ones here at 167 feet tall. And here we have the building is right next to this water. It's actually a submarine making factory. So when they've made the submarines, they literally lower them into the water, the estuary here. And it's basically an estuary that goes right around, flows out straight into the ocean. Right. So if you want to say that it's actually on the water, it's right by the water. Devonshire Dock Wall, it's called, 167 feet tall. Shouldn't be seen. Earth curve. Let's do the curvature calcs if we can.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Leave that for them.
Oh, right, okay.
Leave that for them. That's fine. That's good enough. Unless there's any other information. You've given your altitude, you've given your distance to these observations, you've given the heights in the perspective.
Oh, yeah, he's at least 100 feet off the water level there, isn't he?
Yeah.
We can that's for them to speculate, right?
well, one thing I would actually say is that this was all filmed on the same day from different locations, different elevations, and on this, well, on every day essentially when I go and stuff, this is me with a tape measure actually measuring heights and stuff. So here I am at the side of the wall, seawall. I'm actually getting all the documentation down. I'm actually measuring, you know, right now I've got it to about 12.5 feet, so I know how high this wall is. And then I'll go and count the steps and I'll measure the steps and stuff so that when I see the tide in at a certain height and I've got my camera, I can give accurate details as to how high I am above the actual sea level at certain times.
Right, that would be as per the very unreasonable insistence of getting such nonsense measurements that exclude perspective from people like Miles Davis. Just out of interest, just before I round out this live show and advise people to go and watch the premiere of the first show and the pre-show, should they have missed it, on my second channel, Nathan Oakley. But just before I do that, I mean, has Miles Davis done this for his observation, where he asserts that he's exactly 250 metres level with that?
No.
Oh, he hasn't?
No. But this is the thing, you know, nobody sees this work that I do. I'm just making this point that nobody's ever seen this video before of me actually going with a tape measure and measuring the height of the steps, measuring the height over the wall, all this kind of detail so that I know, you know, I've got all this detail down so I know exactly what's what, and I'm filming it, so I've got it as evidence.
You got it on record.
Yes. You know, you guys can actually see it, me doing it now.
I just want to say that about 18 months ago, I said that I don't think the observer height makes any difference anymore. And Sean Hufford and his band of cronies laughed at me. It's true. The observer height doesn't make any difference. What matters is how big the tide waves are, whether the tide's coming in or going out, or whether it's at high tide or low tide. And then a little bit of opacity of the atmosphere. They're the only things that matter. Observer height makes no difference. Because
I don't know if I agree with you there.
What?
But yeah, it does, because it changes the angle that you view things at. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. You can also tune in to the after show, which will replay at 0400 hours GMT or 4 AM UK time, which obviously will continue once this live stream ends. But if you missed the first show, then check out the link that gets published in the chat box to go to my second channel, or the link in the chat that rolls up next to the live show, so you can go directly to that rebroadcast, which will go out at 4:15 UK time today. So check out my second channel and subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980 if you've not done so already. Once again, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and again a massive thank you to all the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, then smash the dislike button and then smash it again. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Videos.
I think what adds more is poking the bear a bit more, Ranty, like with a bit of, you know, venom.
Nah, I think now you've been there so many times, you scanned the seaside properly, so you can actually CGI fake it a lot more convincingly up close.
Oh, I don't know.
Right, guys, I'm going to do one.
Very accurate model
work,
in your
well played,
thank you, Adam. It's been a pleasure, as always, and thank you for the segues.
I couldn't help myself. Sorry, mate.
No, I'm really grateful. I like those sorts of tangents. Literally,
guys,
it got the title of the show, Adam. So the title of that show is now Slice Barcane keeps getting, what did I put? Screwed. Check it out, right? The show's ended, and Earth is Seriously Flat is still posting super chats. EQ mount, just a toy with a clock on a flat Earth. Thank you very much if you're watching this on the re-upload on Nathan Oakley channel. Yeah. Earth is Seriously Flat. Thank you for all super chats.
Yeah.
Thanks
guys.
again,
God
Adam.
bless. I've got to do one. See you later.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Cheers.
Yeah, see you later, man.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I hope you never lose the ability to actually monetize your channel, Nate. I can't get super chats on mine. They won't give me monetization.
Bastards.
Not
For some
yet.
reason.
Not yet. You have to have 1,000.
1,000? I've got 1,500 nearly subscribers, and I've got like 6,000 watch hours.
Serious?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
I've been over 1,000 for like 2.5 months when I actually put the application in to try and get monetized. You know, just some passive income really, because if you make say £1 on each video that you upload just by people just watching the video, not actually asking them for any money, well, it adds up. You know, it could be £50 or £60 over the month, and that would help towards the petrol or whatever to go and do these observations. But they won't even give me that. It's just ridiculous. But they'll monetize like conspiracy cats who passed 1,000 subscribers. You know, after I'd already submitted my application, yet he's monetized and I'm not. I mean, go figure.
Isn't fair.
It's much harder to collect super chat when you're just sporadically going live and don't have your own show. If you have like a daily show or something, that's typically the bottom where people will then start to do super chats, because otherwise they don't know you're there.
You can't do super chats if you're not monetized. It's like, even though I've got 1,000 subs, I couldn't activate super chats on my channel because I'm not monetized.
The rules or something?
Yeah, they've all changed it. It's literally, you can't have super chat, you can't have passive income from YouTube for your videos, nothing if you're not monetized. So even though I qualify, and I have done for the past 2.5 months, they're refusing to allow me to have that option. The same playing field as everybody else.
Saying that they're not.
So
refusing.
they demand commercials, basically.
Hold on. They're not refusing. You're gonna have to change that terminology. They're not refusing.
All right, they haven't agreed to me being part of their clique as of yet.
Exactly.
Even though Conspiracy Cats, who passed his target way after I did, has been monetized.
Just grease the wheels, man. Just pay YouTube. Then you'll have 7,000 subscribers too.
No. Do you think that's what he's done?
Well, I don't know. Hard to tell, isn't it?
Can you unmonetize once you monetize?
Yeah, Adam was still here to tell you all about it. Certainly, Iron Rail Media was demonetized for no apparent reason.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Okay. So now apparently you have to monetize before you can activate Super Chat.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Is monetizing. That is monetizing.
What?
That is monetizing.
Okay. Right.
So what they're essentially doing is they are basically saying, if you're a content creator on Flat Earth, you're not going to earn a penny piece off of it. So you're doing it for the love of it, which, fair enough, I am. However, it would be nice to get a passive income, don't get me wrong. But yeah, if you're a debunker of Flat Earth, then we'll give you everything you want. Super chats, we'll give you subscribers, we'll promote your content, we'll build you up, you know, we'll pat you on the back. But if you're talking Flat Earth, we will basically make it so difficult for you to do this stuff, unless you know, and that's what they want to do. That's how they're doing it.
You need to monetize so they can make all these the new moon landing movie ads in between. I still get to see them in advertising stuff.
Moon landing.
Yeah, that movie, The First Man.
Right.
And other stuff. There's more coming apparently.
Right, it's a lot of brainwashing, isn't it, that they're trying to put out.
Nathan.
Hello.
Who the hell's that?
Hello.
Was that you on Arwen's show the other day, asking him about the crack?
Yeah, I was just joking.
Oh, although that don't sound like Nathan. It looked like you were being serious.
No, I was just messing around. It was hysterical when Arwen did the same thing live and was like, "Is that really Nathan? Is he really joking?" Because I was saying, "Yeah, Arwen's much better now. He doesn't take the crack anymore."
Yeah.
Well, that's just a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you had me and Arwen, didn't you?
Yeah. That was part of the amusement. And Arwen going, "Do you really find this funny?" I'm absolutely pissing myself.
I find it funny now.
Meh.
Yeah.
I don't really appreciate that type of humor in general.
It's just British humour, Arwen. That's why people. That's
No,
why
Monty
we do
Python is awesome. Don't compare it to that.
It's the same principle as me saying in Patricia Steers' chat when she starts talking about veganism. Me saying, "Oh well, you should just eat a bit more cat. Cat's very good for you, full of marrowbone jelly."
Yeah, and it is funny, but it's just wrong.
Right, exactly. That's what you see. You can't even help laughing while you're saying it's just wrong.
No.
Right? Well, yeah, that's why it's funny.
It's bad.
You even said, right, at one point you were like, "I don't do that, Nathan. I only tried it the once and I didn't like it." It's like chat went nuts. It was so funny.
It's true though.
Zinder and Daniel, you've been put straight now with Rumpy.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how did the presentation go in the first debate? You know, I mean, when I first showed this stuff, because you know, when you're presenting it, you don't see what the chat's saying. Did people just get it? Or were the acting all done?
No, they all just stick their head in the sand, Auntie.
You there, Zinder?
Yeah, I'm here.
How did it go with Rumpus in the green room with you and Daniel?
I think he talked like 85% of the time, and I just asked some question how he thinks those things work, and I gave a little opinion to it. Like, he was talking about the distance to the sun and so on, and with parallax, and then he told me that parallax doesn't work on this, and I mean. He said many things, and I don't really remember everything. So,
it's best not to remember anything he said.
I was going to ask him
some things he said kind of made sense. I think he tried really hard to explain it to me, but he kind of had to go to like more. I think more complicated things that already kind of assume we are on a ball. Yet I think he kind of understood his point, and from another perspective, might be kind of valid.
So did he act like a rumpus in there with you two, like he does on the show?
Not at all. He was really polite, and he interrupted me like once or twice only.
Wow.
Yet I of course I let him speak all the way, and this kind of resulted in many points I couldn't really address one by one, of course. So it wasn't really a debate. It was just him explaining to me.
I mean, there was a couple times when he was just blatantly saying that you have to assume R for these calculations. Like, I didn't jump in or anything. Cinder didn't jump in, but so I mean, there was already a bunch of times you could have jumped in and like cut him off, but we didn't. We just let him talk.
Yeah, I mean, from the perspective of a sun that has a physical and has a fixed position at some certain times, or like has always a fixed position that we could even theoretically find out. These observations that were made about sun and the angular size and the Aristotle's observation kinda don't fit on a flat Earth. Yet it is if we assume the sun is a physical object. If I could accept the fact that the sun isn't, then everything would make sense again, right? So
Yeah, I couldn't really understand what he was saying about getting a theodolite and going to a lake, how you would prove R. But that's what he was saying, how you could prove it or come up with your own a measurement for it. So you said you need a lake, a mountain, and a theodolite. But I couldn't really understand how you would do it, like figure that out with those three things.
I would have to research it again. I don't quite remember everything he explained about it. So yeah, I think 10 minutes research I could find it, I guess, what he meant. And what exactly the experiment should tell us and then how valid it is, or the observation rather should tell us and how valid it is, I don't know yet. So yeah. Let's see.
It's funny how he changes from when he's on the show. When he can't explain something, he just keeps rumsing. Five more seconds, 5 more seconds, 5 more all that crap.
Yeah, I mean, that's why he dominated the conversation, because we just didn't interrupt him where we know we should have. So, I mean, like, as soon as he said that to prove, like, the distance of the sun from measuring it through angles, you have to assume R, but it's like, if you do the same thing on a flat Earth, it puts it about 3,000 miles away, which I'm not saying that's how far away the sun is, but it's so easily to go one way or the other if you just don't know what R is or if that's real or not.
Yeah, I think his point was kind of if you do the observation from many more points than only 2, you will get the result that the sun doesn't seem to have a fixed location, that there's multiple points in the sky, which for the heliocentric model kind of proves that the sun has to have parallel rays, and so the sun has to be really far away. So this is kind of the thought process. Of course, there are some assumptions in it, yet for the Aristotle's experiment, it's kinda, if we assume that the sun is indeed a physical object, the only available shape that the only valid shape that can be concluded from this observation is a ball. Every other geometrical object doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, there's like bubbles are balls because the structure that's the atoms creating that are just so ball-like. But there's crystals too, which are structures that have atoms that aren't ball-like at all. It just means that if the sun is physical, whatever it's made out of is something that, you know, is ball-like. Like
Zinder, do you realise that Neil deGrasse Tyson accepts and admits that it works both ways on both models, the sun?
I have never heard him say that, and I don't really care what Neil deGrasse Tyson says, to be honest.
My point is that if he says that it works if he admits it works both ways, then you're actually disagreeing with an astrophysicist. Now, I don't agree with him or not. What I'm saying is that it's quite a
those guys fighting away while I say a massive, enormous, huge thank you to all of the second channel audience. So if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley channel and you're not aware that this is the after show part of the live debate that takes place on Nathan Oakley channel, then be sure to subscribe to Nathan Oakley to keep up to date with all the Flat Earth debate pre-show and after show goodness. Massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and a massive thank you to all in the Premier audience who shared the show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!